Checkity check. Check. Man, we're back with another one. How's everybody doing? Lots of people already in the chat. Good to see you guys. We have Shrek has something I'm not going to say on the stream. Mickey, Henry, RN's channel, Virtual Reality Check, Virtual, Mr. Camera Junkie, Sub 68, PJ 48, Oliver, JPEG, and others. Welcome, everybody. We're back with another stream. Let me know if things are looking good, sounding okay. Just to make sure everything's set up, I turned a monitor on while that intro was going, and everything started flickering. But it seems to have stabilized, so I'm going to go with it, and we'll just hope nothing breaks. Because I've had a good run so far, and I'm not really superstitious, so there you go. All right. Today, we're going to do a couple little news items, and we're going to jump into today's topic, which ought to be kind of fun. And this was going to be this week's video, these cameras, but I canned it. And we'll talk about why and talk about these weird cameras that I found on Amazon that are super cheap. So, a couple things. This stream is obviously here on my channel. After this stream, at 6 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be over on Jem Schofield's channel, the C47. I'm going to drop a link in the chat so that you guys can see what that's all about. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Me and the guys over there are going to be talking about our camera history. So going back to our first ever camera up to today, what did we buy and shoot with and why? So it ought to be pretty fun. And I think we'll have some really interesting crossover and some really interesting things to talk about there. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to hop over here to the chat and drop that link in. So this link is where we will be live after this stream. So we're going to go for, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. And then I'm going to get ready, grab a beverage, head over to that stream. So check it out in the description. We're also going to do a Q&A here. Excuse me. And that's going to be a lot of fun. So prepare your questions, and I'm going to try to very quickly get through these cameras. So are they C-mount? Yes, let's jump into that now, Sub 68. Let's just hop over and let's just dive right in. So 3 cameras, and excuse my fingernails. They're long. I need to clip them. We've got 3 cameras here. Let's go over the pricing of them, but essentially you've got 2 smaller cube, and these are tiny, by the way. Like, here's AirPod Pros. There's the camera. Pretty ridiculous. So we've got 3 cameras here, 2 cube. This one, and by the way, these first 2, I'll flip them over here. We've got USB as our only connection to the camera. So it's literally a box with a lens and USB. So that's the first 2. The second or third one is a little larger, still pretty thin, but we have USB, HDMI, and on the other side, an SD card slot, power input, and on the back, we've got some buttons, and it comes with a remote, almost identical in size to the Aperture remote. Takes the same batteries, which is important because it didn't come with batteries, so there's that. All right, let's hop over to a browser real quick, and we will talk about, let's see, this input. Yeah, there's the stream. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time. All right, so here's the first camera. $85 for this thing. 4K. We'll talk more about that in a second because I'm not sure that's real. The other one of these cameras is actually 4K. I did test it. And they come in different lenses. So this one that I have here is the fixed lens. So there is a way to remove it and use a C mount. And yes, these are all CS and C mount compatible. And these first two, they don't look like it, but I'm pretty sure they are. So that's kind of the deal there. Let's go back to the cameras. So that's the first one, $85, which is ridiculous. This is an aluminum body. It has the USB output and has quarter 20s top and bottom. And has some interesting features, which we'll get into. The next one, similar story, looks a little different. If I go back and forth here, you can see this one's a little larger. And the difference, it looks almost identical in every single way, except for it has a different USB jack, still USB 3. It's $155, so it's like, I don't know, whatever that is, $75 more. But this one has a larger sensor size. So if you go down here, we've got a 1/1.8. And the first one was a snap. Here it is, 1/2.5. And we'll come back to that in a second. But the third camera is this guy here, $165. And this one has a lot more features, interchangeable lenses, which the other two you can configure with different lenses, I believe. Maybe not this one, but this one. Yep, see here you got a 5 to 50 millimeter as opposed to the fixed 3.2. And we'll throw all these up here in a second so you can see what they actually look like. And if you scroll down on and by the way, all the links to this is in the description if you want to check these cameras out. So I put them down there for you guys. But if you click on any of those and just scroll down, you'll notice there are, well, maybe not. That was embarrassing. Oh no. Hopefully I didn't just end the stream. Oh boy. Whew. That was close. I almost shut down the stream. Anyways, let's go back to these real quick. And we'll definitely get into your guys' questions. So, fun fact, I accidentally hit Command 0, and that ends the output of the final output of the show, or the final outro. And once that outro finishes, the show automatically shuts down. So hopefully we're still okay. So let's go back and try not to mess that up. Oh boy. Oh boy. There we go. So anyway, if you scroll down and go through maybe on this one. Here we go. There's other options they show that are similar looking. Why is this window giant? There we go. At least it did for me. Of course, it's not doing that now. But there's a lot of these little cube-looking cameras. These C-mount. Here's a bunch. Here we go. So you can see there's several different options. Some are 1080p, some are 4K. So let's go back to this final one here. Again, bunch of different lens options. So you can choose between, again, that fixed one, 10 to 50, 6 to 12. And that's the deal. So I bought these because I was like, this looks really interesting to have, especially this one with the HDMI output. And I'll grab it right here. I wanted to see if I could use this for throwing it into this setup and use it as another camera, a cheap camera with an HDMI output. And that's where things kind of get interesting. It also does onboard recording. It is 4K. It will record internally at 4K, but the compression is horrible, so I would never use this. There are buttons on the back, so you can control. There's a menu system you can go into. You can take photos with it. You can do playback. You can record and zoom in and out and whatnot. So we'll come back to this guy, but very, very interesting little camera. These two, there's nothing to do with settings. You just plug it in. It's like a Logitech camera. You plug it in, and that's it. No autofocus, just manual focus. But I still think there's a lot of really cool, interesting uses for this. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and plug these bad boys in and see what they look like. We'll go back to the main camera. I've got a couple USB cables here. They come with really nice long cables. which is, you know, at that price, whatever you can get is great. So I'm going to plug these in. Hopefully Ecamm will not crash on me. We'll find out. I'm going to plug both in at once. So we've got them both plugged in. Turn this one around. Oh, gosh. Stay. All right, both plugged in. In Ecamm, I'm going to switch to another scene. 1 second. Okay, you guys should still be able to hear me. And we've got the camera set up. Oh, this one's sideways, apparently. Let's flip that over. And that is the deal. And we're out of the gate. I mean, for a cheap camera, not bad, right? So, well, one thing I noticed is, you know, they're pretty much the same. I'll go back to this camera here. So these two little cubes, whoops, this one. Geez, the show, man, is not doing well. You got the smaller one. This is the cheapest one, the $85 one. You've got the $150 one. This one has a slightly larger sensor, very slight, and the color is different a little bit between the two. That's about it, okay? So both are technically 4K, even though I couldn't seem to get a 4K connection out of either of them. But, yeah. So that's kind of the difference, is you've got a larger sensor on this bigger guy, and the color is better, I think. So, and I would say the low light is also good. So let's go. Oh my gosh, was I not showing that, by the way? Oh, it's still going through. Okay, never mind. Sorry, guys. I'm complicating things on my end, and it's throwing me off. So this camera right here that you're looking at is the cheaper camera. This camera is the more expensive camera. Let me actually put them on top of each other and see if that gives us a better comparison, kind of. I know the framing is different, but the more expensive camera here I think is better at low light. It's also, the color is a little more pleasing. This guy's more crunchy and kind of green. So yeah, no control over the settings, but you just kind of get what you get. Now I'm going to try to do this live. Bear with me. I am going to spin around this guy and try to focus it on my face so you can get an idea of what it would look like as a webcam. Of course, I'm not on the right camera. Good grief. Okay, here we go. So, arm's length right now. How am I going to do this with this microphone here? I look pretty red, but I'm going to point it right at my face, and I'm going to focus it. Something like that. So as you can see, at arm's length, that's a pretty wide shot, right? I think that works out pretty nice. So this is the more expensive one with the larger sensor. So I'm going to now switch to the other one. Let me just kind of set it up so I don't make you guys seasick. I'll try not to. All right. So this one is the cheaper camera. I'll go ahead and change focus on that. That one on skin looks a little better. You can tell the white balance is changing. So I'm just going to kind of A/B this here for you guys. So more expensive camera, larger sensor, cheaper camera, smaller sensor. Yeah, you can definitely tell better light gathering on the more expensive one, which is this guy here. Again, 150. Boom. Boom. Those are the two cameras. So now let's do the last camera here, and then we'll move on to Q&A. I see we've got lots of stuff going on here in the chat. So we'll address some of that stuff. So I'm going to switch back to the main camera with the software switch. There we go. Okay, so we're back there. I'm going to unplug these cameras, set them aside, drop those cables out of the way, and we'll take this guy, the more interesting of the group, I think, and we'll connect him. So I'm going to switch over here. We need 12 volts to get this guy powered up, which I happen to have right here because I sort of prepared for this stream. We'll go ahead and plug that in. Little LED light turns on, so we've got power. Next, I'm going to, off camera, I have an Atomos Shogun so we can see what the resolution is, but I'm going to connect that, and that's passing through to, you know, my ATEM Mini. So we'll go ahead and connect HDMI like so. Boom, we're all connected. I'm gonna wait for it to show up. There we go. Now we'll switch over to the camera. So as you can see in the top left there, we're at 4K on this tiny, tiny under $200 camera. And manual focus, boom, not bad. So let me go back to this camera angle for a second. On this lens that I bought, this is the widest lens that they offer. And you can see we've got 3 rings here. We've got the zoom, we've got focus back here, and we've got our aperture, which none of these are listed as to what the aperture is. So if I switch back here, I'm going to try to set this up. Oh gosh, here we go. There it is. Okay. I'm going to go arm's length again. This one's not nearly as wide as the other ones. Right there. Oops. They're very finicky, these focus rings. Something like that. So yeah, a lot more zoomed in, if you will. But this camera has something that the other ones don't have and makes it really interesting for this type of situation where you want to use an A10 mini, and that is the settings. So let me see here if I can do the zoom, just so you can see the range. I'll zoom all the way in, the focus goes whack, and then you have to refocus. So that's all the way zoomed in at arm's length. Obviously very, very tight. So now I'm going to do switch back here so you guys don't get sick. I'm going to set this camera down on the table, and then let's go ahead and switch to it. And let's see, I'll put something in the shot just so we have something to look at. And this is what's also cool about these things. If you film a lot of small stuff up close, I mean, look at this. I need to clip my fingernails, I know. But look at this. I could even focus closer than that if I wanted to. So if you need a lot of close-up stuff, that's pretty sick, right? You could use this for, and I mean, the image looks pretty clean right now. It's a little noisy. So let's go into the menu system real quick and see what this is all about. So I'm going to grab the remote here. I could use the buttons on the back. But there's actually a lot of settings in here. So we're in video mode, so I can go over, change the resolution, which I won't, but it does 720p up to 4K. I believe there's a 720p at 100 frames per second, which is pretty interesting. We've got wide dynamic range, which is this WDR. I can turn off and on. I notice it's pretty glitchy when it's on, so I've been using it off, but it lifts the shadows, as you can see there. So I'll turn it off for now. We'll back out of there. And as I was playing with this, I was like, dadgum, there's a lot of settings here. You can do a custom white balance. I can go in here. You can manually set it, or you can go down to correct once. And Mr. Camera Junkie, absolutely. This is kind of what I'm thinking with this guy. Is it's a great like overhead camera, detailed shot camera for really cheap. I'll back out of there. We've got our exposure compensation, which is out of control. ISO set to auto, but I can go ahead and manually adjust it. So there's 100, 200, 400, 8, 16, and back to auto. Electronic shutter, so I can change that. And I could dial it into, whoops, overshot that. 1/50th if I wanted to do 24 frames. Brightness, contrast, if it's a little too crunchy for you, just jump on in there and drop it down a little bit. So yeah, pretty sick. You can mirror it. There's actually a dedicated button on the remote to change the mirroring, which is also great for kind of live streaming setups. I'll go back. We'll just take a look real quick at the other settings here. Did I miss any? No, I don't think I missed any on that one, did I? Yeah, vertical stuff. You can set up, I'll turn this on here. You can set up like a rule of thirds, or you can add a lot more lines if you want to. Kind of interesting. Turn that back off. Back out of that menu. We've got our modes, so you can switch between video, photo, and playback. And then under setup, there's even more. We've got HDMI resolution, so I can change this from 4K, and I'm looking over here at my Adamus, and it is showing it at 4K. So this is proper 4K out of the camera. What else we got here? Display mode, kind of the boring stuff, and then format if you're using an SD card, which I wouldn't recommend because the compression is out of control. So that's the camera, and if that wasn't enough, let me get out of the menu. Oh, I just turned it I turned it off, and that's what it says. Isn't that amazing? It's like a Windows Vista Goodbye. Oh man, so funny. So pretty interesting little camera. And the reason I didn't do the video is there's just really not a lot of uses for it. If you're doing really close stuff, and by the way, that little screw that you saw on screen, that was like right here, really, really, really close. You can change the lenses. So I'll actually switch over here. I know someone asked about that. So this is what it looks like. You can see the sensor right there. It has a CS mount, and you can kind of see this black ring here. That's the CS to C mount. So you can change lenses. You could put in Canon EF on in here if you wanted to. The crop factor would be out of control. Audio quality is awful, if someone was just asking about that. But you could use any other C mount lens. So a pretty interesting little camera. I just wanted to talk about it because I think it could be really cool for some people. It's definitely fun to play with. And then you also have USB. So if you want to use it just directly to your computer, you don't need an HDMI capture device. You can just go straight in. And that's the deal. So I don't know. Links are in the description. If that's helpful to you guys, I think they're really fun, but they're just not worth maybe a full video. And that's why I'm talking about them here, because I'm a nerd and I thought they were kind of fun. But thought people might be like, why are you showing this to me in the comments? With all that out of the way, I noticed we had some super chats here. So let me scroll up here and find them, and then we're going to jump into Q&A for the rest of the stream here. Let's see. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where are you? Furworks, good to see you, man. Alex Miner. Oh, and it is Alex Miner. Super chat $4.99, another bribe to keep. So you stream again next week. Well, thanks, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Alex has been one of the OG members of the channel. Still trying to figure out what to do with members. Right now, it's just kind of a way to, say thanks on the channel. I'm thinking about doing a little thing where I show all the members, because some of you guys, Alex is one of them, has been around for a long time. One of the originals, I think the first 3, 4. So that's really cool. And I'll display those people's names because you guys are lovely folks. All right. Thanks, Alex. What else we got here? Kind of like the smaller sensor one better. Yeah. You're right, Fur. Just pointing at something, the other one looked better, but that cheaper one, I think the skin tones are slightly better. But, it's kind of a wash because the auto or the white balance changes on those non-manual ones, which this one you can dial that in, which is kind of cool. Another super chat from James Spurin? Thanks, Caleb. Love the channel and the live sessions. Wednesday is date night, so I'm getting into trouble. We'll pick up in the AM. Thanks again. Well, thank you, James. I'm sorry I probably didn't get to this, and maybe you're off with your significant other. So have a great night if you rewatch this, and thanks so much for the donation, man. Have a lovely evening. All right. And maybe try a different thing out of your comfort zone. It motivates you, inspires you. Hammed. Okay, so I'm going to scroll back down here, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Any thoughts on that? What do you think? Is it something that's totally meta or not useful? But yeah, I think the biggest use for these would be kind of an overhead, or if you just need to add a camera to your stream, right? So you saw I connected 2 of these little guys, and that's 2 angles, that for that close-up stuff would work really well. This guy, you could definitely rig it up to be further away. It's not bad, especially when you dial everything in manually. But finicky lenses is definitely a fixed focus kind of situation. Wesley Curry subscribed a month ago. Very straightforward and to the point, intelligent shows here about what I love, cameras and making films. Thanks. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Any dentist imaging these being used for recording? Any dentist imaging? Yeah, that would be a great use. I think a lot of these actually, someone who makes the sensors and the lenses for maybe like microscope setups, overhead microscope shots. I think they're like, webcam, pandemic. Let's make some webcams. Why don't we? 24 frames per second in 4K output recording. So Darren, it does not record 24 internal, but you can set the HDMI output to 24 frames per second, or 2398 at least. This channel is so underrated and I'm upset. Well, don't be, man. It's okay. Appreciate that. That's really kind of you, though. That's funny. I like that. Oh, I still have the super chat up. James got a nice plug there. Will you be making an A7S III guide? Yes. A lot of people have been emailing me about that. I was going to wait for the A7 IV, and I was going to do a guide that covered both cameras, but it looks like that's still going to be a ways out. I mean, you guys tell me if you've seen any news on that, but I'm going to probably just jump in. I've got it written. I just need to shoot it. So probably in the next, I don't know, month, we should see that bad boy hit the stores, hit the internet. I love that mic audio, nice compact tonal range that cuts through. Would love to know the mic and signal chain, yet probably a talk order request. Tall order? No, not at all, man. Happy to help you, Jay. So this is the Audio-Technica AT2020. It's actually not that expensive. I mean, for a nice microphone, I want to say it's $200. And then I'm currently running it into my mute switch box so I can do things like this while I'm talking and completely cut off the audio. And there's still no pop, which I really love. So that's my little cough switch. By the way, all of that. Oh, did I put that in the description? I didn't. But if you look up Ultimate Video, I'm so tired of these titles, man, but you got to do it. I think it's the Ultimate Video Desk. I talk about that. I also talk about what I'm doing for the audio chain, which is the 286S from, what is it, DBX. That's what's powering this microphone with phantom power. And then that goes into, what does it go into? I believe that goes straight into the A10 Mini. And then here we are. So not bad, right? All right. I'm scrolling up here to catch up where I left off. Love the new video for the B-roll setup desk. Gave me a bunch of ideas. Nice, David. Glad that helped. I didn't know about that video. I mean, I canceled this video on these little cameras that we talked about, so I had to come up with something, and I had that in my list because I've been using it now for a while, and I know it's not for everyone, so I was hoping someone would get something out of it, but I mean, it's changed my life, so I thought I'd include it. Purchased 3 of your camera guides that really helped me learn my camera very fast. Thanks, man. Ambrose Landscaping Inc. Sweet. Are you gonna make a video on mini DV cameras and tapes just like the Panasonic M4 and VHS? Probably not, but maybe. Oh, the M5. Right. Maybe. It might be kind of fun to do like the history of cameras or something. By the way, plug. After this stream, I'm going over to my buddy Jem Schofield's stream, and we're going to talk about the camera, our camera history, our personal camera history. So there's a couple oldies in my list of cameras that I've used, so it should be a lot of fun. And we're looking forward to hanging out with you guys over there too. So if you can think up the cameras that you've had, maybe your first couple of cameras, we really want to hear what people used early on in their career. I think it's better table side camera to show macro stuff and gear. Yeah, I think that's good. Amazing sound that suits you. Thanks. Oh, thank you, Jay. You've been doing this for a long time, creating amazing videos and helping people. How to stay motivated, man. Best of luck. Thank you for everything. Woo, that's a loaded one. Cinematic Atlas. I would say yeah, so number one is you just got to keep plugging away, you know. There's ups and downs like anything in life, but I think a big one for me is making sure that the schedule is the same all the time. When I first got into this, I just worked around the clock, right? I was super interested in it and passionate about it, but I think even when you're getting started, obviously you need to spend what time you can on a channel or whatever business. But once you get in a groove, it's a great idea to stop at 5 o'clock or whenever and start only at 9 o'clock or whatever time you pick, because that really helps pace you, right? So if you're just throwing it all at the wall and you're working crazy hours all the time, you're eventually going to completely face wipe out, and it's going to be rough. So having a stopping point and a starting point every single day, it keeps that kind of, I don't know, the magic alive, if you will. If you're excited about something, you can look forward to getting back into it, if that makes sense. I think that's really important. And know that it's going to go up and it's going to go down. I know a lot of colleagues and good friends who, back when I started, there were a ton of us, and very few are still around doing videos. Not saying, you know, they didn't move on to better things or different things, or they lost interest, and that's totally fine. But, you know, it's going to be sucky sometimes, and you just got to, all right, well, let's work on the next video. I don't know if that's helpful or not. Wesley Curry, I have the NEX VG10 in the pack. The slider which holds SD card is broken. All at-home fixes failed. Any direction to a certified repair, i.e. new card reader, and what price range should I look at? Ooh, that's a tough one, man. You may have to open that bad boy up and see if you can see what's going on inside. I don't know if I can help much there. Doesn't look like he has time for Among Us. I don't know if we're talking about me or something else. I haven't played that yet, by the way. I know everyone's all, ah! I'm over here like, does anyone want to play Warzone? And another super chat, $4.99. It's the number of the evening from Akko Visuals. I don't have anything cool to say. Super chatting for support. Thanks, man or lady. I appreciate that. That's good. I love the honesty. That's good. Ian the Bright Man just dropping in to say, keep killing it, Caleb. Hope to see you soon at the events coming up. Good to see you too, Ian. Ian Brightman is a super awesome dude. Yeah, looking forward to hopefully catching up before long. Not sure about NAB this fall, but yeah, really miss hanging out with everyone. So thank you, Ian. Really appreciate it. Do you have a preferred brand of USB or HDMI cables? Amazon Basics for the most part. Back when well, there's so many more options now, but back when I did commercial production, I always bought, you know, nicer HDMI cables. Someone once told me your cables are like your arteries, so take good care of them and keep them in good shape. So I tried to buy, you know, nice stuff, because nothing's worse than having the only 25-foot HDMI or SDI cable go bad on you. All right, jumping down here. Furworks tip for motivation is making sure your space to shoot is always set up, ready to go. Having to set everything up when you get an idea kills motivation. Absolutely, Fur. That's great. And Fur is for real. He does a lot of streams, and he's no joke. That's a big one. I do remember when I had to set up for every single video, and the day I got my first studio was the day that I set everything up for an hour, sat down, hit record, got everything manually focused because it was on a 7D, sat down, someone started playing drums, and I literally turned off the camera, went outside, screamed for a little bit, came back in, and started searching for local spaces that I could work out of. Another super chat from Matt. Just appreciate you. Oh my goodness, so kind. Thank you so much, Matt. Really appreciate it. Nice. Love that thumbnail too. It's good stuff. You guys are brutal. So sweet. Sometimes you have to work on a project for yourself, like spec work, where you have full control on creativity and dealing with clients. Keep your passion. Yeah, absolutely. Anga Kuchan, if I said that correctly. Love from Pakistan. Thank you. Did the Amazon affiliate price drop impact you a lot, or do you have any other good income stream sources? Yeah, so I try to balance things out. Amazon's still the biggest one, and yes, definitely took a hit. And it's hard to explain Amazon sometimes. It's a little all over the place. So I'm trying to do more camera guides, which I haven't done in a long time, and I'm just now getting back to that. So it's rough, and that's part of this business. Is it's month to month, just different. Everyone's different. You can't necessarily count on things staying the same, and definitely want to have different income streams, because one day Amazon could be like, you know what, this whole affiliate fuss is just not worth it, and then and that would be devastating to a lot of us. So you gotta have something else going on. Let's see. Love from Pakistan. Lots of love for Pakistan. Thank you. Nice. Damn, every time he sees my comment, my heart just melts. Well, happy to help out there with the heart melting. All right. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here because I missed a bunch of stuff. Part-time films. Missed the first half. Forgot what time it started. NAB, any news on you, Jem and Ben? Not for sure yet. Still kind of waiting to see how things pan out, but it's not looking phenomenal for me. We'll see. We'll see. It's just a lot going on. So we'll see once we get closer. Just a note from Egypt. Really learned a lot from you. Thanks for the great videos and keep it up. Well, thank you, Andrew. All right, so I'm caught up with the live stuff. I'm going to try to stay on top of it. Sad Mango is an awesome name. S5. Or I can't seem to get the best out of my G7 even after buying your guide. I'm thinking of selling it and moving to the S5. Thoughts? It's going to be a huge leap in quality. The G7 is a little long in the tooth. Color is going to be your main, color and noise is going to be your main issue. Both of which much better on the S5. So if you can swing it, I would definitely say the S5 is going to be, I love the camera. Amazon will at some point make the commission 0 at some point. They've done it with Amazon Video Direct to Filmmakers. Interesting, yeah. You just can't count on anything. Heck, I don't know if the algorithm's going to get upset, but I don't know about YouTube, man. I still love it and use it, but someday something could get really fishy, so you got to have an out. What frame rate do I have? What frame rate do I have to you for music video? Oh, use? It's up to you. You want to have a project frame rate, which is your final what goes on the internet or wherever. For me, that's usually 24, 23.98. And then whatever you're going to film, you want high speed, shoot at 120, 60, or if you want something a little more raw, handheld looking, you can go with 24. Just want to let you know, as a disabled filmmaker, your camera gear setups were life-changing. Thank you. From 1234 Win Hub Humb War. Well, thank you. I'm glad that's helpful. I've actually have thought about doing like a wheelchair rig. So if any of you live in a wheelchair or use a wheelchair, let me know if there's any kind of poopy things about filming video with a wheelchair and what kind of problems you love to see solved. I think that'd be kind of interesting. What camera are you shooting on? Looks great. This is the Canon RP with the RF 35mm. And I may have missed a couple comments there, guys. Sorry. How do you get your live videos looking so amazing? Please help. I think it's mainly lighting, So aperture, whatever, it doesn't matter what you use. Just honestly, I've said it before, but get the biggest source you possibly can. Not the brightest or the largest light, the biggest, whatever you're looking at, your final surface of light. If that's a huge white wall that you bounce off of, do that. Don't use little LED panels or even 1x1s or 2x1s. Big. Like for me, a minimum 32 to 36 inch something is what you want. But yeah, nothing crazy. It's a 1080p camera. I think there's probably just the lighting. I need help. I have a Canon C300, but every time I film it, it's always noise. Okay, so join us on the next stream, and we could talk about that because Jem is a wizard with those Canon C cinema cameras. But I would say make sure you're not going crazy with your ISO. Maybe exposed to the right or overexposed slightly, so you pull things down in post. That can often help. But if you're getting noise outside, that's when there's a settings problem. I've learned pretty much everything from you. Thank you. Thank you, DP. That's super sweet of you to say. Hey, I'm a video podcaster looking to capitalize on my equipment and newfound knowledge. I want to offer video podcast production and maybe move into some traditional interview and documentary. Cool. Do you think there's a market large enough to start that endeavor? Capitalize on my equipment. I don't know. That's kind of tough because a lot of people getting into podcasting, they want to do it kind of themselves. So maybe consultation, start a YouTube channel, start doing setup videos where you talk about, here's a super simple, easy, turn it on, don't mess with your settings, setup or whatever. And once you do content like that, like the amount of emails I get from people wanting to do consultations is out of control. So I think that's a whole industry that could start here is consultations. Unfortunately, I just don't have time to make videos and do that. But I think that could be the way you might want to go. Frame rate depends. Yep. Good stuff, Brian. Any cool cameras with cool effects like night vision, infrared? Not that I've played with. Any affordable pedestal stands? Sick of adjusting my tripod hundreds of times per shot. There are really not affordable pedestal stands. If you want a quick way to adjust the shot up and down, that's why I made the last video I did. I will tell you, before I made that desk or came up with the desk idea, I was looking at like a C-stand with wheels. Again, not perfect because you want multiple points of contact. You could maybe get a used photography pedestal stand. What do they call those? If you look for like photography stand or photography rolling stand, I can't remember what they're called. Help me out, chat. You guys would know. But it's essentially for like a heavy duty pillar that moves around and allows people to, has an arm on it, and you can quickly adjust levels, your height. That would be a good way to go. I was looking into that, but ended up with the desk setup. Best camera under $1,000. Depends on what you're looking for, but I think this RP is pretty good. I think it's around that price. Also, the A6400 is good. If you want, modern autofocus-y stuff. If you want manual focus, there's all kinds of fun stuff. You could get that cinema camera for that much if you watch that Sony F3 video. We often see you reviewing the latest, even oldest gear. Can you provide links to short films documenting commercials you've done for them, with them? I can't, because I haven't done a corporate gig or where I've been hired as a shooter or filmmaker for, 8 years, 7, 8 years, something like that. So, all my current work is what you see on the channel. So if you watch any of the videos, all the B-roll shots, all the lighting, that's essentially my work. And a lot of people, I think Gerald Dunn talks about this a lot. It's funny, like people ask me, like, let me see your current work. I'm like, this is it. You're looking at it because I do this full time. And, I have a ton of old projects from back in the day, but I don't want to show people stuff from 10 years ago. Would you want to show people your 10-year-old projects? If I had been a filmmaker for a long time and had excellent work, sure. But, most of it's old, yucky stuff. Stuff I still enjoy, but I just, So that's the deal. I moved back to Vegas, finally going to NAB U3. Been talking about it for years. Don't think it will be smaller convention this time around. Or I do think. Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be smaller. We already asked that or answered that question, Space Jones, earlier in the video. Hello, love your videos. Thank you, RN. Cheers for all the content you put out. Got me through a lot of headaches in film school. Oh, nice. Cool, Brian. Caleb, would you say G85, G80 is still viable in 2021? Hey, if it gets the job done for you, absolutely. Tips to shoot wide. Tips to shoot in wide and later crop in vertical videos. Don't get a lens that's, test the lens first, right? So if you have a wide angle lens, you might be tempted just to use that and crop in, but you should make sure you do a test because often those are kind of yucky. When you blow it up, you're blowing up all the artifacts, the softness of the lens, stuff like that. Caleb's Camera Guides rock. Never had an instructor go such in depth on a subject. Every bit of physical and tech on the camera is covered. Thank you, Part-Time Films. That's very sweet of you. Is it 95 centimeter softbox good for lighting? 95 centimeters in inches.
It's 37.4 inches.
Yes, that would work for me. A6000 is amazing. 18 to 105 f4 versatility is amazing. If not needing 4K, A6300. Yeah, those are good cameras for sure. Would love to see wheelchair rig for the disabled. That would help promote inclusion of the world in video production. Yeah, I think that'd be really interesting. Yi cameras were cheap, awesome phone functionality. They stopped making cameras a year or two later. Oh, that stings. I remember those. Caleb, we often see you. Oh, we did that question. Why is it showing up again? Watching your videos for nearly 3 years now. You are the sole reason I started into video, and I'm part of a full production company for my local county. Sweet. Nice. So glad to help, Sour Nova. Yeah, best friend because of its size. Yes. Worth investing in GH5 in 2021? Absolutely. I'm actually writing a video on that, talking about the GH5 in 2021. If you're buying today, is it worth it? What should you be thinking about? All that fun stuff. Man, still love that camera. Super educational. Thank you, Luke. Oh my goodness. We've got a donation, boys and girls. Super chat, HRK 10 of those from Domson. Do you know about my country, Croatia? I do. Not a lot, but I do know about it. Thank you for the donation. Really appreciate that. Let me know if you have a question. Sweet. You welcome, bro. You're the best teacher on YouTube. Oh, thank you, Michael. Bought a Sigma FP mirrorless. It's terrible camera. That's all I wanted to say. The Sigma Corporation of Team of America is, and then it stops. Yeah, I'm toying with the idea of picking one up again now that they've added several updates and see what's kind of going on. Studio stand. Okay. Talking about that thing we were talking about earlier. Caleb, we often... Oh, I see that question again. We talked about that earlier, Francisco, unless I'm seeing duplicate stuff here, which I don't know why. Any thoughts on Sony's new E-mount ZV camera? Is there a brand new one? Supposed to launch today. Okay, but they pushed it back. I'm not really interested in those small sensors, which is hilarious because I just talked about these, but these are super cheap. So yeah, that's kind of outside of my realm of interest, but I mean, people seem to love them, so curious to see what the new one's all about. E-mount, so that's pretty interesting. Okay, I'm scrolling down here. I got behind again, boys and girls. Will you review the C70? Probably not, William. I got to pick some kind of cutoff, right? Between like super cheap cameras, which again, I just talked about, and really expensive stuff. I got to pick a range or else, you know, I'll never be able to cover everything. But amazing camera for sure. What do you think of the Fuji S or XS10? I'd have to look that one up. I don't recall. Oh my goodness, the time. Guys got me all distracted with your beautifulness, and now I'm way behind. Okay, so let's see here. Thank you, Chris. That's very sweet of you. Just bought his third GH5 last month. Alex Miner, you're a madman. A madman. Okay, guys, here's the deal. I'm going to have to get a little water and then start another stream. I'm going to grab the link to it. So if you want to keep this party rolling and see what cameras I bought and used from the very beginning to today, let's move on to the next stream, shall we? So let me grab that link again for those who missed it. Why am I not seeing this? What's going on here? There it is. Okay. I'm about to drop a link into the Chaticus. There it is. Boom. That's where I'm about to head over and hang out with Jem Schofield, Ben Barden, and we're going to talk about our camera history from the beginning of our careers to today. What cameras did we buy? Why? What did we hate about them? Why did we switch away from them? I know it'll be a lot of fun. So I'm going to end this stream, head over there. Hope you guys can join me over there. It should be a lot of fun. I lost my windows. Where's all my stuff? This is awkward. I'm completely missing the way to end this stream. Little technical difficulty today. Went ahead and let's see, overlays, preferences, programs, scenes. There it is. Okay. Gonna head over there now. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. Did I see another super chat? Yes, I did. Beats with Kev. What are you doing, man? Do you get tired of people who argue that content creators who focus on reviews and specs instead of film commercial aren't real filmmakers? I mean, I don't really get tired of it because we're not really filmmakers. It's just kind of a different thing, right? Some of us are, some aren't, and that's fine, right? Everyone just relax. So that's kind of my take on that whole thing. And with that, finishing up here, heading over to the C47. Check the link in the chat that I just dropped. I will see you guys over there. Thank you so much for hanging out. Love this. I'll see you guys next Wednesday, same time. Cheers.